So I'd done some reporting on this in a video earlier this year, but I wanted to recap on it because some things have come out that's even proved this even further. A while ago, I went down somewhat of a rabbit hole with Nancy Pelosi's financial statements. On one of her disclosures is an investment called the Mosher Partnership. I found that the Mosher Partnership is linked to a company called the Eastern Development Company, and they have just sold a piece of property called the Hillsborough area in Folsom, California. Now, the Eastern Development Company is a wholly owned subsidiary of another publicly traded company called GenCorp. GenCorp used to trade on the New York Stock Exchange as GY and is now traded as Aerojet Rocketdyne. According to Rocketdyne's 10K, around 1% of its total revenue comes from real estate. A big piece of that is derived from the Hillsborough property that they had sold to Westland Capital Group. Westland Capital Group bought this Hillsborough area to do a development called the Russell Ranch. Russell Ranch is another disclosure on Nancy Pelosi's financial statement. This property was sold from Rocketdyne to Westland Capital to develop Russell Ranch, who Pelosi has invested between $5 and $25 million in. The Mosher Partnership, which is in an indirect connection with Aerojet Rocketdyne, when you track all this back, paid them about $5 million in income last year. It gets better. Rocketdyne makes the important missile components for the United States. In early 2022, Lockheed Martin offered Rocketdyne a $4.4 billion acquisition agreement. The Federal Trade Commission put a lawsuit on Lockheed Martin and said that every defense company in the United States needs access to Rocketdyne's important missile components. On February 14th, Lockheed Martin was forced by the federal government to throw away the contract that was signed to acquire Aerojet Rocketdyne. 11 days later, Putin invades Ukraine, and Aerojet Rocketdyne received around $6.5 billion for government contracts for all of the missile systems that we are sending to Ukraine. Pelosi, through an indirect partnership listed on her financial disclosure, by the way, they're being paid out in income through partnerships and then real estate deals in return for them getting these massive government contracts. And the timing of it is just impeccable. To basically throw out an acquisition 2 weeks prior to a major war breaking out in Ukraine that we are funding billions of dollars in cash and weapons to. And the company that's really benefiting the most from it is the company that Pelosi's in an indirect relationship with.